Hello everyone, and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces Talks Music. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite bands. I'm always talking about one of my favorite bands, but this is a big one, and that is Tangerine Dream. And I had to pick my favorite release by Tangerine Dream, which I thought I would have to think about a lot more, but actually it came to me very quickly. My favorite release from Tangerine Dream, and I think one of the best albums ever made, is Alpha Centauri, which is their second album. Although in some ways a lot of people kind of consider it their first album because it's the first album that had the Tangerine Dream sound. Their first album, Electronic Meditation, I think Klaus Schulze was the drummer on that record, is often ignored because it's more of them jamming than it is the electronic kind of ambient sound that they were eventually known for. I really do like their first record. Some people say it's unlistenable. I disagree with that. I think it's a really good record. I enjoy it, but it's not this. This broke new ground that is absolutely mind-blowing. The album was first released in March of 1971 by Ore Records and was recorded a few months before that in January of 1971. And honestly, this record sounds like, to me, nothing I'd ever heard before. When I first heard this record, the closest link that I could give it, and this is really out there, is ancient Japanese gagaku music, which the first time I saw this performed, I was in Japan, and there was this orchestra performing gagaku music, and it sounded like, to me, unearthly to an extent that it was noises that were so foreign that they could be from an alien planet. And I feel like this album captures that same essence. This is truly mind-altering music. It'll take you to another place. I was just looking at some of the comments under some of the YouTube channels that have just posted this album. And people will say stuff like, "Hey, I love traveling through space." That's one of the comments that was on there. And then another one was, I always loved astronomy, and when I was younger I used to listen to this and imagine alien galaxies far away. And all of this makes perfect sense for the noises that are on this album. So why do I choose this early album over all their later work? I think the power of this record is that it came out before the band had discovered synthesizers. I don't know if synthesizers even existed when this came out, but I know the band didn't have them. And all the space noises on this record come from normal rock instruments. And that, to me, is the power of this record. It creates a raw, emotional space sound that I don't think they ever really captured again. The synthesizer is awesome, and I love Phaedra and all the 70s with Tangerine Dream. I really do, and I love synthesizers. I think that they make fantastic space music, but this, to me, is a level above because they were trying to create space music without that specific instrument that kind of became known as the space music instrument. So they were really breaking new ground here. I want to say nothing like this had ever been heard, but there was one album that came out before it, and I think it's Julian Cope that said, "This record takes the map of the last track on, or the title track on Floyd's Saucerful of Secrets, and cuts all the rock out of it." And that is spot on. That is an incredible concept, and I agree with him 100%. This is the idea that Floyd had played with for about 12 minutes of the Saucerful of Secrets album, taken to its most glacial degree. This is that kind of space music born from it. It reminds me of bands like ELO getting their start from wanting to recreate the Beatles sound that they achieved on, I think it's Strawberry Fields Forever, with that cello and everything. ELO starts where the Beatles left off with Strawberry Fields Forever. And I really love this idea that bands will be so inspired by one small concept that another band does that they will take it and really explore the theme more than the original band ever would. And I don't want to say that this is derivative. It's not derivative. It is music that is completely its own, built off of the idea in the Floyd track that probably inspired them to make some of this space noise. And I don't even 100% know that they ever heard it. I'm sure they did. Floyd was very popular in Germany. But yeah, who knows? I really liked the way that Julian Cope looked at that, and I think he's onto something really, truly. So let's look at this track by track. This album has 3 tracks on it. The first one is the shortest, coming in at 4 minutes and 21 seconds. And that is called Sunrise in the Third System. First off, the name is incredible. I love this name. And the music mirrors that beautifully. It's mainly organ, followed by very strange noises that I would have associated with synth, but I think might be coming from the guitar and messing with the amplifiers. I'm not sure how all these noises are made, but the organ in this is absolutely incredible. And while we can tell that it's an organ, it is so alien that it all I think about is sci-fi stories. It really, truly, as I'm listening to this, it's wonderful. And that goes directly into Fly and Collision of Coma Sola. And this might be my favorite track on the album. It's 13 minutes and 23 seconds long, and it starts with organ and flute. This is kind of the introduction of the flute in the album. And the organ is just as haunting as it was in the first track, but it's got this flute playing over it that is not creating a particular melody, but is just kind of riffing over and over again on these ideas, so you never know exactly where it's going. And slowly the organ is taken out and is replaced by strumming guitar and drums, and these drums start so quiet you can barely hear them, and slowly build to, by the end, they are the most prominent instrument in the song. And I want to tell you, it's very difficult, of course, to explain music without being able to play parts of it so that people can hear it, but I don't want to get slammed for copyright. The way I describe it makes it sound very specifically like just kind of weird rock music or psychedelic music. It is not that. You will be shocked at what he can make these instruments do, and you won't recognize most of the sounds that occur because of them. I don't know what they were doing, but it was experimental and awesome. The final track on the album is called Alpha Centauri, and that is 22 minutes and 4 seconds long. And this one is really the biggest journey on the album, and some of the most beautiful organ, especially the end part. They introduce what sounds like a theremin to me. There's female vocals or voices at one point. It is just an eerie music that really affects mood. I think it's almost impossible not to listen to this and be affected by its mood. That's why I call it mind-altering music. I think this is the most mind-altering music that I've ever heard. There was a very interesting comment under one of the videos of people sharing this music on YouTube, and that was somebody wrote, "Godspeed You Black Emperor owes Tangerine Dream one for this album." And I found that very interesting because not a lot of people are like, oh, Godspeed You Emperor sounds like Tangerine Dream, because they don't. But if you listen to the Alpha Centauri and then something like Static off of Lift Your Skinny Fists, you can see that structurally they're very similar. I think that whoever commented that was very sharp. They seem like they're doing the same thing with completely different music, and I enjoyed putting those two bands together in my head because I never would have before that comment. My edition of this has some extra tracks. The first one is a concert, and it's only like 11 minutes long, but it's a concert from this time. And the cool thing about this is you can actually find video of the band doing this concert. There's a couple of really cool things you can find from Tangerine Dream that I found on YouTube. One of them is them setting up around this lake, and they all sit up way far away from each other. So you've got like an organ and a guitar. It might have just been those two at this point. I don't know. I'm not saying their names because I will just slaughter them. I'm not good at speaking German, so. But it's so strange to see all these weird noises coming out of the guitar, out of the amp. It's just incredible. But look for those videos. I think if you like this kind of music, you'll really enjoy those videos. So yeah, there's a concert, I think from 71, that's only 11 minutes of it exists, and there is a video of it, and that audio's on here, and it sounds wonderful. And then there's Ultima Thule, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, 1 and 2, which is a single that came out right after Electronic Meditation, so between those two records, and it fits really well on here. It's a little more jammy than this album, but it actually really does flow smoothly on my particular version. If you want the version with the extra tracks, it was released on the Reactive label, so give it a listen. Nobody creates mood like Tangerine Dream, and this, in my opinion, is the album that creates mood more than any of their others. It is glacial, it is beautiful, it is otherworldly, and just put it on. Put it on when you don't have a lot to do, or when you're doing something like writing or organizing or painting or whatever you do. Put it on and give it a listen, and I do not think you'll regret it. It is absolutely incredible. One of my favorite albums of all time. All right. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this, please click like. If you like this kind of content, please click subscribe, because we're going to be making a lot more of it in the future. Thank you so much for watching.